Hello, I'm Connor. I'm a high score player from the original Islanders who is now setting some high scores in the sequel. I've been on top of various leaderboards, the New Shores demo, the current New Shores leaderboard at time of recording, the original Islanders Switch version. So if you're new to Islanders or just want a general walkthrough of how to maximize the high score mode, this is the video for you. If you want more specific tips meant for players who have already completed a few islands and are looking to kind of level up their game, check the link in the description. Got another video for you there. So, firstly, what is the format of high score mode in Islanders New Shores? In short, you'll be choosing buildings to unlock, then placing those on your island to score points. As you score points, you'll unlock more buildings each time that you fill the score loop. You're also making progress on the big score loop on the right, which tracks your completion of the island and rewards you boons. Once you fill the big loop, you can move on to the next island, but if you want to get a high score, generally you're not going to move on until you've placed all of your buildings. Now, at first, every new building unlock will give you 6 different buildings. You'll always get a few of the building that you selected to unlock, plus some bonus ones from the pool of buildings you've unlocked total. Eventually, you'll have chosen every type of building, so you'll just get a random assortment. But the buildings that you get aren't truly random. Some buildings are much more common, so buildings like houses, mansions, and parks are all numerous, while things like the temple, markets, and the mountain shrines are much rarer. Once you've completed an island, you'll keep filling the big score loop, tracking your ongoing progress, and each time that you fill the big loop again, the number of buildings that you earn by completing the small loop will decrease. So eventually, earning enough points to fill your score loop will only reward you with one new building. Now, what does that all mean functionally? Well, basically, you'll be placing buildings for a while to earn points, then eventually you'll run out of buildings and have to move on to the next island. In order to maximize your score, therefore, you need to get as many points as possible from each building placement. As a general rule, all buildings go up in value over time as you hold them, but you have to place some to continue playing. So, how do you choose what to place? Well, buildings get a score when they're placed based on the things that are near them. Lumberjacks score from trees, fishers score from fish, and so on. But most of the points come from buildings detecting each other, and every building has a list of likes and dislikes that help guide where you place them. Over time, you'll learn what these relationships are. For example, like parks like trees, fountains, and houses, but don't like industrial buildings like lumberjacks and sawmills. These point scoring relationships between the buildings form the basis of getting a high score in Islanders New Shores. So the next step is when you're placing a building, don't just think about the score that you're getting right now. Consider what else the building will do for you in the future. A lumberjack might earn 14 points now, but what about when you place your next sawmill? What about your next sauna? What about your next park, which will lose points from that lumberjack? And to extrapolate from there, does the lumberjack placement set you up for a good sawmill? You want to be able to place a sawmill that detects many lumberjacks, so that will determine part of where you place your lumberjacks. Then is that sawmill spot going to get detected by any warehouses you place eventually? So thinking about the total value of the building across the island will give you a very different perspective than just placing for the highest score possible in each moment. Sometimes it can even be worth it to place a building for a negative score. So the further in advance you can plan and visualize your city, the better your score will be. Now, you don't have to think exact placements or building sequences, but thinking just in general zones can be helpful. Personally, I think that the best scores come from having a really dense city of mansions, houses, city centers, shamans, wall platforms, plateaus, with some of the big scoring buildings like the temple and the towers looming over all of that. And then by having industrial and greenery zones outside the city, close enough to share detection when you want it, but far enough away to avoid the negatives when you don't. This is really like a bigger topic than I can get into in this video, but in short, you generally want to group buildings of the same type. They tend to score well in the same area, and then whenever you want to detect all of them in the future, they'll already be clumped up for you. Okay, so once you're placing buildings and being thoughtful about the true score of each building, what are the next steps? Well, boons also play a huge role in your score. Boons are new in Islanders New Shores. They're very exciting and they really add some complexity and wrinkles to high score gameplay. So the best boons are the ones that score you the most points, obviously. For me, that's boons like score multiplier, the level up boon, bargain, duplicate, blossom. Sometimes you'll also have opportunities that require a certain boon, like maybe shrinking a market to fit in a really high value spot, or using neighborly to place a cluster of the same type of building, that sort of thing. When you're aiming for a high score, try to think about the what, when, where, and why of each decision. What building or boon are you going to use? When would be the best to place it? Where would be best to place it? And lastly, why are you placing here? Even if you're not making like perfect plays, you don't have a totally fleshed out plan, just starting to be intentional about your decisions will help you improve and it'll help you understand where your points are coming from. But I know all of this is like big picture stuff. So if you're just getting started, let me give you a few quick rules of thumb to help advance your score. Firstly, place smaller detection buildings earlier. So, for example, place your mansions before you place your fountains. This ensures that more buildings get detected by each placement, since the larger detection buildings will be able to cover more ground. Secondly, the undo function is your friend. If you are unsure about how a placement will work out, maybe you need to know if you can fit two buildings in one space, you can always use undo to check. You can undo one building, and frequently you can undo a boon, although some of them you can't. Thirdly, learn the unique shapes of each building's detection and think about how to use them. Some buildings detect more in front of them, like a seaweed field, and some detect more below, like a tower or a mountain shrine. So if you learn the unique shapes of each building, you can be thoughtful about how to angle and place them to maximize score. And finally, remember to have fun. It sounds silly, but getting a high score can take a long time and lots of thinking. So take breaks if you need them. Don't get too burnt out. So, in closing, welcome to Islanders New Shores. I hope you enjoy this island vacation, and I hope that this video helps you understand how to score well. Competing against yourself can be a really fun way to explore and improve at Islanders and see if you can even make bigger, better, higher scoring islands. This has been Connor. Thank you, and have a nice day.